It's time for the morning watch.
Listeners to Love 101 FM are advised that the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Hello and welcome to the Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm host Stokeley Marshall. And of course, we are the number one gospel station in Jamaica. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org. And if you are overseas and on the move, US listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you are in the UK, 0330-332-6541, or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also check us out on Love 101 FM Facebook Live and YouTube Live. In the main watch today, how is Haiti faring 1 year since the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse? In the second watch, is increased apartmentalization being encouraged? Are single-family dwelling houses becoming a thing of the past? Too many apartments? In our social media question, we ask, let's take a vote. Which would you prefer to live in? A single-family home or an apartment? A single-family home or an apartment? Share your responses on our Facebook or YouTube, Love 101 FM Jamaica Live, and also WhatsApp comments and voice notes to 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your comments on the program, but first, here's our quote.
Let God's promises shine on your problems. That one there from Corey Tenenboom.
Corey Ten Boom.
Right.
Sorry to hear that about her.
Yes, so have
How
I.
are you? This is a nice high quote. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you, Stokely. How are you?
I am well. I'm quite well. And for the listeners and for all of us, let God's promises shine on your problems, on our problems. That's what you're saying?
Yes, that's what we're saying here. And be thankful.
Okay, and everything give thanks. The main watch will be back after this break.
Keep fully connected with Flow Fiber Fast Internet at home and on the road with LTE data and calls for a fast, reliable experience anywhere. Over 500 communities have been upgraded since 2020, making more of Jamaica Flow Fiber Fast. And with Yard and Road, get Flow Fiber Faster Yard and LTE Road for as low as $3,999 plus GCT. Visit discoverflow.co to get connected on Jamaica's largest network. Conditions apply.
This Sunday, the service from the St. Andrew Parish Church Halfway Tree, normally aired at 6 p.m., will be aired at 5 p.m. as we share with you the live broadcast of the JCDC Jamaica Gospel Star competition. The service from the St. Andrew Parish Church Halfway Tree will be aired at 5 p.m. this Sunday. A blessing is always here on the family station, Love 101.
Hi, I'm Dunstan Bryan, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health and Wellness. July is Healthcare Worker Appreciation Month. Jamaica's healthcare workers of all categories stand apart as among the most hardworking and dedicated in the public service. I say thank you to all 25,000 healthcare professionals who give sacrificially, even in the midst of crisis. Your investment continues to transform the health sector and Jamaica at large. This month, we celebrate you and honor your tremendous contribution to the nation. Happy Healthcare Worker Appreciation Month.
A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Under the Law helps you to know your rights and how the laws of Jamaica can help you defend those rights. We've been doing it for 15 years. That's right. The program is brought to you on Wednesdays by the Bank of Jamaica, building an inclusive economy. Under the Law, Wednesdays at 6:20 a.m., 2:35, 6:45, and 9:10 p.m. on Love 101 FM.
NHF is here for you. Getting that discount on my daughter's medication is a relief. The NHF card makes it so affordable that she doesn't miss a dose. Whenever my parents visit a public hospital, I can fill their prescription at drugstore pharmacies at no extra cost. Not to mention, renovating and building new health centers, hospital wards, and providing new medical equipment. The NHF is always helping to take care of my family. The NHF is here for health. The NHF is here for you.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are now in the main watch. The political health of Haiti has for decades not been well, and with the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse on July 7th, 2021, the country seems to still be in crisis mode. How is Haiti really faring today? Just over 1 year later, we have online this morning, back with us, I should say, having spoken with them some time ago, Dr. Giulio Volsi, President and Chief Executive Officer of Haiti Teen Challenge and founding senior pastor of Rendezvous Christ Church. We also have with us again, Right Reverend Dr. Gordon Collins, moderator of the United Church in Jamaica and the Cayman Islands. Gentlemen, good morning to the both of you. How are you? Dr. Volsi, moderator Gordon Collins, if you could at least hear you. We are hoping that you are hearing us for the time being, but we do hope to hear from you both gentlemen. Dr. Volsi, moderator Collins. We seem to be having a little bit of a challenge with the audio and the video, but also with the audio. I don't know if, well, many listeners would have known that the president of Haiti, the former president, now late president of Haiti, Jovenel Moïse, was assassinated on July 7th, 2021. And interestingly, clearly, well, from another part of the world, former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe was assassinated. And that, interestingly, was on July the 8th, 2022. I looked at the dates. In terms of Haiti, our Caribbean neighbor, I remember in one of my history classes learning that Haiti was the first country, certainly in this part of the world, to free itself of the shackles of slavery. And they did not do so based on being granted independence. They did so by fighting for it. And erasing the colonial rule of France at the time. Haiti has had many challenges since then. At one point in time, they even were made to pay reparations to France, which was quite odd, I think, bearing in mind that they fought for their own independence as an independent country. That they have had
Okay,
many
I'm
leaders,
gonna be on.
and they have had quite a number of coups. And there are actually quite a couple of other coups I have heard of which don't make the news, or attempted coups, I should say, not coups, but attempted coups that may not always make the news. For quite some time now, the country appeared to have settled down, and they had a president, Juvenel Moise, who was unfortunately assassinated July 7th, 2021. And we would like to now find out how the country is faring or has been faring since then. Do we have Dr. Giulio Volsi on now?
Yes, I'm on. Thank
Great.
you, Marshall, for having me today on Love 101.
A pleasure. A pleasure. Dr. Collins?
Oh, hi, Stokeley. Great to be on as well, and Julio. So good to hear you.
Good to hear
Great.
from you, Doctor.
Starting with you, Dr. Volsi, because we have lost some time. Dr. Volsi, how is Haiti faring now? We had you on last year. We
Yes.
spoke on this show, along with Dr. Collins, both of you actually, and you were outlining to us how you were faring in the aftermath of that unfortunate situation where the president had been assassinated. How is Haiti faring today? And how can Jamaica and other Caribbean neighbors help from a church ministerial perspective?
Well, thank you very much for reminding your listeners on what my perspective is as a Jamaican and as a Jamaican and African in the diaspora. I am personally concerned that we have.
Oh, that is you, Dr. Collins. I thought we were hearing Dr. Volsi. But go ahead, Dr. Collins. Please proceed. Go ahead.
Yes, that it is saddening to my spirit, and I believe that God is saddened that we, as a people, speaking now as a Jamaican and as a member of the Caribbean family, that we haven't yet treated Haiti as the brother, the sister, the cousin that she is really. We are not to treat Haiti like, a kind of flavor of the month sort of business. I'm happy that you raised the Haiti question in the context of an anniversary of that terrible experience. But we need to remember that Haiti's long history is a history of having been distanced by the international community, and that is to put it mildly. And as CARICOM and as Christians in the Caribbean, as Jamaicans and as Christians, we need to reclaim Haiti as the brother, the sister that she is.
Dr. Volsi, any comments, sir?
I would add that to what Dr. Coleman said. It's Haiti itself as a country, it's unfortunately due to the image that the country is portrayed to the international community, or we see Haiti as we see our Haitian government. So I would add that Haiti is not the Haitian government. Haiti is a country with about 12 million resilient people, lovely people, hardworking people who want something better for life. With a majority of them are youth. I believe 65% are under the age of 30 years old. They want something better. They would like to live and do life in their own land. But unfortunately, political leaders would not allow it. And as a result, the international community have a different and negative image of the country of Haiti.
I'm going to read a portion, only one paragraph of an article in yesterday's Daily Gleaner of Jamaica. And it is, as I said, dated July 13th, 2022. And it reads as follows. A year has passed since President Jovenel Moise was assassinated at his private home when an elite security team was supposed to protect him. Not only have authorities failed to identify and arrest all those who masterminded and financed the killing, but Haiti has gone into a free fall as violence soars and the economy tumbles. Gentlemen, we'll pick up on this after the break. Stay with us, listeners. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
Tiles. It can go everywhere, from your walls to your floors, from inside to outside. Your style, your choice. At Active Home Center, we have the widest selection of tiles, from classic to unique. Shop our new arrival of tiles for your bathrooms, living rooms, kitchen, and more. Let us help you transform your space. Visit us in Kingston at 84 Constant Spring Road or our newly opened location in Freeport, Montego Bay. Active Home Center. More savings, more choices.
From generation to generation, Jamaicans have depended on J&B Bank to make the pride and joy of providing a safe place for their families possible. Now, with no processing fees and no down payment mortgage options, you can open the door to your own sweet home, a legacy to hand to your next generation. Visit jnbank.com to get pre-approved today. J&B Bank will help you find a way.
The Jamaica Agricultural Society, in association with the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, present
the Denby Agricultural, Industrial and Food Show
from July 30 to August 1
at the Denby Showground, Maypen, Clarendon.
Yes,
Gates open 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily.
Admission $1,200 for adults, $600 for children. Jamaicans, grow smart, eat smart. Come celebrate Jamaica 60 at Denby 2022.
Importers. Shipments requiring you to pay customs duties and taxes are cleared on a customs goods declaration known as an IM4 or IMS4. Ask your clearing agent to provide your customs declaration, customs assessment notice, and customs receipt once duties and taxes are paid. Where your clearing agent may not be able to provide the IM4 or IMS4, request your customs goods declaration registration number or C number, which can be used to verify your payments. Importers, request your IM4, IMS4, or C number. It is your right. For details, email the Jamaica Customs Agency at public.relations@jca.gov.jm. Jamaica Customs, keeping our customers in focus.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the main watch. And in the main watch, the topic is, how is Haiti faring 1 year since the assassination of President Jovenel Moise? Our guests are from Haiti, Dr. Julia Volti, President and CEO of Haiti Teen Challenge, founding senior pastor of Rendezvous Christ Church, and from Jamaica, Right Reverend Dr. Gordon Collins, moderator of the United Church in Jamaica and Cayman Islands. Dr. Volti, before the break, I read just one paragraph of an article in one of our newspapers here in Jamaica, the Daily Gleaner. When you hear reports like that, or you read reports like that in media, whether in Haiti or from other countries, what does that say to you? Because you're actually living in the situation. Dr. Volti?
Well, Marshall, it's remind me that nothing divides like politics, because nothing divides like fear. Haiti is in a stage of fear. The people are afraid because what have brought us here was the fact that a group of politicians just don't want what's best for the country. And as a result, they end up by killing a president. It's unfortunate. And hoping that will bring any solution to the situation. But for those of us who are believers, we know that whenever there's a division, a kingdom divided within itself will not be able to stand. So Haiti, it's in a stage of fear. People are afraid for their lives. I have many of my leaders within my team who have to escape from their left their homes, and some would leave a place today, and then the next week they have to probably move somewhere else. So it's been very difficult as for the nation, and it looks like the actual government, those who are in power now, they don't have the ability to bring stability in the country. So it's a very difficult situation to see people going through this process, and again, it's with no much assistance from the international community, because they see Haiti as they see the Haitian government. So it's a humanitarian crisis that needs more people to and pay some attention to what's going on to the Haitian people. Now, however, now when it comes to life, ministry in Haiti, we don't stop. We still continue to do what we have called to do in the country. We're still active. Our work still moving forward. But again, it's because there's a greater need for ministry at this time, because people are afraid, people are losing hope. So any area where they can find hope, they have a tendency to take advantage of that in a positive way. So, but Haiti, it's just things just not going well in the country in general. So there's a shortage of fuel again. It's been going for the past 2 months now. If you need a gallon of gas, probably I think it costs $16 now, if I understand, to buy a gallon of fuel in the country. So things just upside down.
Another article from the Gleaner dated July 13th, 2022, and it might appear to be a digression, but it actually isn't. Jamaica broilers profit rises despite bleed from Haiti operation. And the relevant paragraph or lines from the article read as follows: Haiti has become a challenging place for Jamaica broilers to operate amid political instability that has been ongoing for more than a year, lingering effects of the pandemic, along with the country's vulnerabilities to natural disasters. Last year, an earthquake with a magnitude of 7.2 killed 2,207 people. It followed shortly after the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse. Any comments, Dr. Volsi, before we go back to Dr. Collins?
Well, yeah. Well, I believe I believe most places have natural disasters, and we're facing our society now is facing an economic crisis. However,
the aspect of the article, the two words I want to sort of make center stage here: political instability. Yeah. What has the political situation been like? Yes.
Well, so what I was saying that is those other countries, they're able to survive because they are stable. Politically they're stable. There's a system in place. So in Haiti, we have a system of fear. We have a system of division. We have a system of killing. And so we the Haitian people, we don't trust our government leaders. The international community don't trust the government leaders. But unfortunately, the image that people are seeing when they see Haiti, they see the government. So it seemed like to me that in order for us to move forward as a nation, we need to have a stable government, because the government have a lot to do with the country. So we are where we are today because of the stability the political instability, because we don't have honest or God-fearing or political leaders who are concerned for the best of the country. It's just unfortunate, because we cannot find an agreement between us. We cannot find unity. We cannot find what you call a national vision for the nation, so we could move the nation forward. So as a result, gangs are taking over and creating fear. 85% of Haitians want to leave the country. 85%. This is just
Dr.
sad.
Volsi, the more I hear from you, even though you are in ministry, do you have political ambitions? Because the more I hear you speak, is the more you sound like someone who is interested in the overall welfare of the nation. Have you ever considered running for office there?
Well, I'm not qualified to run for office in Haiti.
The last time I
Because
checked, you don't need to have any particular qualifications to become. Well, I don't need to mean academic qualifications. You are Haitian, so what other
well,
qualifications?
what I'm saying also, it's the political in Haiti. Unfortunately, it's it's nothing that anyone with a heart for the people would aspire to be involved in, because it's not popular to be a politician in Haiti. It will be probably how would I say that? If you're looking at the Haitian people, that's been a politician in Haiti is probably will be the last profession, so last thing that somebody would want to do. Now,
Well, yeah.
however, I believe that it is the desire of every concerned Haitians to I mean, make themselves available to serve the people, because it doesn't make sense in this 21st century to have 12 million people are going through daily, if excuse my language, hell, because of our political leaders. They're not willing to find a common ground for the well-being of our people, and it's saddened. It doesn't make sense, and it's irritating. And we pray that there will be a solution soon, because this is a humanitarian crisis in the country of Haiti.
You know, Dr. Collins, as we wrap the program today, how do you think Jamaica and other countries, and church in particular, can hold Haiti's hand? Someone like a Dr. Volsi, for example.
Well, thank you very much. And I think that's what I want to say, that I hear and feel the pain of Dr. Volsi. And what we Christians in the diaspora should really be doing is to find ways in which we undergird his current work. Whether he has political ambitions eventually or not is beside the point at this time, because he is currently engaged in very serious and uplifting work on the ground in his country, having been trained and educated overseas and relocated there with his family and his ministries to work. The international community, including the Christian Church, the Caribbean Conference of Churches, and all of us who are in the other parts of the Caribbean, and the whole international community, need to challenge ourselves to say, what has been our role in Haiti over all these, not just decades, but centuries? And it is about time that we took greater responsibility for how we respond to the needs of a country that we know is facing a humanitarian crisis. Indeed, if the assassination of a president has the elements of an international conspiracy, then how can it be that CARICOM and the UN have not yet found appropriate ways of responding to the needs to help to support Haiti's political trials? It really is about time that we stop treating Haiti as if it almost doesn't exist. It is like an abandoned country, and you know that, or we hold a view that Haiti's challenge today is directly linked to the fact that many still believe that Haiti should not be, as an African country in the diaspora, the freest country, and so early in its history. It is about time we stop blaming Haiti and joining in hurting Haiti by our lack of appreciation and willingness to work with them.
Okay, so we're next from here, Dr. Collins or Dr. Volsi, in a quick moment, because we are totally out of time already.
I would just like to say that a group of Christians in Jamaica, as we speak, are talking about ways in which we will help to support, especially Haiti in the diaspora. So we are living in the Caribbean, and we need to be hearing more of the kinds of voices of Dr. Walsey and to have a genuine, compassionate, responsible approach to supporting the work of the people on the ground, like Dr. Walsey.
Feel free to let us know here at Love 101 FM when you get to that point when you would wish to launch something or do something, but we have to leave it there for today.
Well,
Dr. Walsey and Right Reverend Dr. Howans, thanks to the both of you for joining us. Listeners, please stay with us. We'll be right back in the Morning Watch.
A JN Bank personal unsecured loan can help you tackle your goals with monthly payments as low as $19,999 per million. Conditions apply. The time by JN Bank is
7:31.
Big up, respect, gratitude is a must. How many ways can the Digicel Foundation say thank you to everyone who has been building Jamaica together to invest in over 1,466 projects? We have seen you transform communities across Jamaica, building a more inclusive, accessible, and sustainable Jamaica for all. Be a part of the change and apply for your community grant today. Building Jamaica together. Visit DigicelJamaicaFoundation.org to learn how.
Prepare for the future with over $3 million in cash and prizes with Tang. From May 9th to July 30th, chance to win monthly prizes of laptops, tablets, smart savings accounts, school supplies voucher. Grand draw on August 17th. First place $1 million. Second place $500,000. Third place $250,000. Buy any 6-pack of Tang for a chance to win. Upload receipts at tangpromotion.com. Drop in supermarkets or mail P.O. Box 2010 CSO.
The following is brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
The approach of the government is one that seeks to ensure that our economy can withstand the shocks. And so far, the Jamaican economy under my administration has withstood several shocks and have withstood them very well. I understand the mood of the country. I understand how the minimum wage earner is feeling. I understand how people feel when they see their electricity bill and how upset they must be. I understand. But this too will pass. And it will pass if we ensure that our finances of our country remain robust and stable.
NHF is here for you. Getting that discount on my daughter's medication is a relief. The NHF card makes it so affordable that she doesn't miss a dose. Whenever my parents visit a public hospital, I can fill their prescription at drug-serve pharmacies at no extra cost. Not to mention, renovating and building new health centers, hospital wards, and providing new medical equipment. The NHF is always helping to take care of my family. The NHF is here for health. The NHF is here for you.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Let's take a look now at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing. And we turn here to the Daily Gleaner. July 31 funeral for family of 5 killed in Clarendon. We also have here man who killed buried girlfriend in moment of passion gets life. We turn to that would be life in prison, sentenced to life in prison. We now turn to the Jamaica Observer, which reads, among other things, Japan Prime Minister, that would be the current Japanese Prime Minister, blames police for death of former leader Shinzo Abe. And we also have here, US approves American Airlines flights to more cities in Cuba. Those and many other stories in both major daily newspapers. Coming up next, we'll read through some of the feedback from our Facebook and WhatsApp question, which is, let's take a vote. Who would you prefer to live in? A single family home or an apartment? If you haven't done so yet, leave a comment on our Facebook or YouTube, Love 101 FM Jamaica Live, and also WhatsApp your comments and voice notes to 876-9973-125. Using hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll be right back.
He knows my name.
Here is your opportunity to connect with someone who will listen, pray, and give guidance. It's the telephone counseling ministry of the Edgewater Baptist Church. Please call 876-220-6474. Weekdays between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. and Sundays between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Please talk to someone if you're finding it particularly challenging to cope during this period of global crisis. Someone is waiting for your call. Please reach out today. 876-220-6474. It's the telephone counseling ministry of the Edgewater Baptist Church.
This is a reminder that somebody cares. Endorsed by Love 101.
He knows my name.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Let's join Deidre for a look at how our Facebook and WhatsApp friends answer today's question. Let's take a vote. Which would you prefer to live in? A single family home or an apartment? Yes, Deidre.
Cherry from Spanish Town says, pleasant morning to you all. I would prefer a single unit home. Reason, more land space is available. So you have space for planting one or two fruit trees and gardens. And there are just a lot more options as it relates to a single unit versus a apartment. All right, this comment here is from Edna.
Good morning, Stokey. Good morning, Deji. Good morning to all the listeners of Love 101 and all the staff. I'd rather to live in a single family home than to live in an apartment. Reason, I like peace and quietness and certain level of privacy. In an apartment, sometimes you don't really find these things. You know, sometimes too much things go on. You don't disturb your peace and your quietness. So I'd rather a single home, family home. Yeah.
Or we have another one.
I definitely prefer my single family house. I've been there, and now I'm in an apartment, a townhouse setting, and even though most of the persons who live here are professionals, and some have all sorts of titles to their names, but their behavior and integrity not right, and it can be very oppressive. So you just have to stay in your corner, and even when you're in your corner, they're still trying to oppress you. So family house.
Okay, that one there from Agatha. That's it for comments on the question.
That last one was quite, I would say, moving, touching, because some of the words that she used, she's obviously not comfortable.
Right.
Agatha, not comfortable at all. Well, we move right into the second watch. Thank you, DJ. We move right into the second watch. The pros and cons of a single family home living versus that of an apartment. Is it more than our personal preferences? Well, it may be safe to say that most of us grew up in a single family home, and it's only in fairly recent times that apartment living has become more popular or more common, whichever word you choose to use, because sometimes in terms of personal preferences, you might prefer a single family home, but maybe for reasons of cost, you might choose to live in an apartment. It might be a little bit less expensive, and you might want the facilities of an apartment complex, But at the same time, the downside can include things such as lack of privacy, etc., etc., etc. Now, will this apartmentalization, I actually coined the phrase, will this apartmentalization in quotes, as we are calling it, continue? Because we do see where in a number of communities, a single family home is torn down and is replaced by a multi-dwelling unit of apartments, a row or a block of apartments, sometimes going up several stories, much to the distress of neighbors sometimes. We have online today to discuss this very important topic, very relevant and important topic, Howard Johnson Jr., realtor. And he has a long list of things he has done and is doing. He is a board member of the Real Estate Board and the Commission of Charter Corporations. He's a past president of the Realtors Association of Jamaica and a past member of the board of directors of the National Association of Realtors located in the United States. And I'm sure if there's more, if there are any tweaks, Howard will be happy to tell me what those are. Dr. Pat Green. Now, Dr. Pat Green, I am going to, I am making note that your resume is a little bit lengthier than I might have assumed. You are a registered architect, of course, I knew that. I know that you're a senior lecturer you had been a senior lecturer at the college, at University of Technology, Jamaica, and you are the former head of the Caribbean School of Architecture there. But what I did not know is that you're also a conservationist, and she's also an independent scholar and an advocate for the built and the natural environment. Quite a lengthy list for both of our guests, Dr. Patricia Green and Mr. Howard Johnson Jr. Good morning to you both.
Thank you. Good morning, Stokeley. Thank you for having us. Hi, Howard.
Good morning, Stokeley, and hi, Pat. How are you doing?
Thanks.
Nice to see you again. Great.
Pleasure having you both. Yes. Now, starting with you, Dr. Green, assist us, please, because we know we want to bring in, of course, Mr. Johnson Jr. because his capacity and the hats he wears. But starting with you, Dr. Green, we seem to see a trend where a lot of apartments are going up, and the number of stories or the number of floors seems to be even increasing. Any comments on this? Because we find that even from the question we ask and the feedback, a lot of persons still prefer to live in their single family dwelling home. Any comments, Dr. Green, before we head to the break?
Yes, there are a number of comments, but I'd like to focus in my capacity as an architect and say that on the landscape of Jamaica and our small island as a developing state with a seasonal hurricane, that we should be very careful how we layer our landscape with buildings. And we should be mindful of the climatic concerns of the Caribbean islands. And we should also be careful about the kind of material and the energy use of our buildings and our architecture. And so, this is the background within which I would say that in the thrust for development, and I'm very much for development, I would be so stupid as an architect and an educator of the next generation to say I do not like development. I want to see my colleagues and future architects doing a lot of very creative solutions on the landscape. However, what I would and I am lobbying for is order and and attention to careful detail that would make the building acceptable in our cultural and climatic context. So I
Hold
listened
that thought.
carefully.
Hold that thought, Dr. Green. I just want to have Mr. Johnson make a comment before we head to the break, and then we continue. Mr. Johnson, before we head to the break, any opening comments?
Well, yes. I want to endorse what Dr. Green is also saying. We are pro-development, and the supply and demands also dictate what the market will require. And there are many persons who are in fact comfortable with their single family dwelling. And there are many persons who would love to have the facilities, as you mentioned in your opening statements, the facilities that they wouldn't normally have with a gated community such as an apartment complex. But I heard your little mistake where you said there are a number of stories, they're going up a number of stories, but literally these apartments are creating a lot of figuratively stories that are too many to number. And we want to make sure that we are developing our country and our nation, yes, meeting the objectives and finding the solutions for housing, but do so in an orderly manner, maintaining the characteristics and observing the current statutes and development orders that are about, so that we can all benefit from the areas that we appreciate, whether it's single dwelling.
Hold that thought, please, Mr. Johnson Jr., because we are already upon a break. Didn't want to cut you off, but we're upon a break.
All right,
Please stay with us. We'll be right back at the Morning Watch.
Juicy patty, them double up the choices. And we know say you want to like it. And you face start your morning and fright with a cup of porridge full up of beer niceness. Two combination, which one we try first? When you a go to school or you a go to work, forward we double can fit twice the flavor. Or could have the pecan you end up a pay for. Try our pecan porridge, that's peanut mixed with hominy. Or our double corn porridge, that's hominy mixed with cornmeal. Try it today at Juicy Patties.
Available at participating stores. The first sound they make is to simply let the world know they're here. And then it's our duty to help them show the world why they're here in the first place.
Give them every advantage with the Guardian Achiever, a plan that provides for their educational dreams and protects their health and life in the process. For more information, call 888-4LIFE to speak to an advisor or visit myguardiangroup.com.
Bashco time. All the things that you need for your home and prices so low, you would never need a loan at Bashco. At Bashco. Shopping. Appliances, houseware, furniture and rugs, gifts and linens and glass and mugs at Bashco. Oh, you're shopping at Bashco. Whether the north or south, in the east and the west, Bashco, them all over, they must be the best at Bashco. At Bashco. Oh, you're shopping at Bashco. At Bashco. Giving you more.
Importers. Shipments requiring you to pay customs duties and taxes are cleared on a customs goods declaration, known as an IM4 or IMS4. Ask your clearing agent to provide your customs declaration, customs assessment notice, and customs receipt once duties and taxes are paid. Where your clearing agent may not be able to provide the IM4 or IMS4, request your customs goods declaration registration number or C number, which can be used to verify your payments. Importers, request your IM4, IMS4, or C number. It is your right. For details, email the Jamaica Customs Agency at public.relations@jca.gov.jm. Jamaica Customs, keeping our customers in focus.
Colgate Triple Action. 3 benefits for a deep clean. As a mother, you always want to give the best to your family and to make them happy. With Colgate Triple Action, you give them 3 reasons to smile. Cavity protection, whiter teeth, and fresh breath. A unique formula with a minty flavor they will love. Colgate Triple Action. Find it at your favorite store.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the second watch. We're having a very important conversation with Mr. Howard Johnson Jr. and Dr. Patricia Green. Mr. Howard Johnson Jr. is a realtor, and Dr. Patricia Green, a registered architect. And we're looking at the topic in this second watch: is increased apartmentalization being encouraged? Are single-family dwelling houses becoming a thing of the past? Now, just before the break, you had been commenting, Mr. Howard Johnson Jr. Would you like to finish that thought? Because there's something that Dr. Green said that I really want to pick up on, but I don't want you to not have completed your thought, Mr. Johnson Jr. Would you like to finish that thought?
Oh, no. Well, thank you. Yes, certainly As I was mentioning before the break, there is a supply and demand, and there, as your listeners articulated, there are varying views on the very same topic that we're discussing. And what we are encouraging is the balanced approach and ethical and legal approach to meeting the demands of our citizens, be it single family or multifamily. And if you were to ask me as a realtor, which one do I prefer? I mean, if I sell one single family home for $80 million versus 20 apartments at $25 million, you know the answer. So it's not about prohibiting the development of the apartment complexes and getting rid or putting in the past the single family homes, but is to maintain the characteristics of our country while meeting the demands of our citizenry and ensuring that we're doing so according to good planning for our country.
Mr. Marshall, may I just ask a question? Because I'm sorry to interject. I know you wanted to say something, but I keep hearing a lot of discussion about supply and demand. I still have not seen the statistics, because we're talking about demand for housing, yes. And I know a number of persons who are looking for young professionals with children for single family housing and are unable to get it because there's a demand by developers. You drive around the country, you see, we buy houses for cash. There's a demand by the developers to buy single family houses and land space and turn them into multifamily apartments. The apartments and the demand for housing is within a certain income bracket, within a certain socioeconomic bracket. The apartment and the developments that are going around are above this. We have the case of the Roosevelt Towers from the NHT, where they have built these various apartments and they're unable to sell them to the persons to whom they were targeted because they're too high. So we have a very sad situation in our nation where people are talking about we are filling a demand, but who are you catering to? Because many of these units are empty or may I say unoccupied, and people are still looking for apartments, are unable to afford them. There are some people who signed up for NHT housing but could not pay the maintenance costs that goes along with an apartment complex. Sometimes these maintenance costs for the communal facilities and activities are even higher than your mortgage payment, and that's what NHT don't donors or participants
Contributors.
were facing with regard to taking up this demand for housing. So I need to see that the statistics. It's unavailable. And if you're filling a demand, what is the price of the category that you're filling? And are the developments that are going up today meeting that demand? Thank you.
And in terms of Ruthven Towers, we don't have the information, well, the current information on that one. I take it that your information is current, Dr. Green?
Well, I did in one of my Gleaner articles, I did make comments on that. And
Okay.
I spoke specifically to Ruthven Towers, and the Gleaner carried a series of articles on the Ruthven Towers. It's available for people to see what is happening there. You know, they're built, how many units they have built. I think it's 86. I can't remember now. Don't quote me, but it's in the newspaper. And they have,
Understood.
they are still they're still unable the to rent or to give these apartments because people have withdrawn. So there are teachers and nurses and policemen who said I wanted an apartment, but they have to withdraw because the cost is outside of their salary range. So how can you be
And you know,
talking
I
about
want I
demand?
want you to, in terms of what I want you to comment on further, Dr. Green. You mentioned before the break the whole issue or the matter of our own cultural, our own culture and our own climate here in the Caribbean, in Jamaica. I want you to develop on that a little bit in terms of whether you choose apartments or single family dwelling houses, because obviously you think it's relevant to the discussion. Can you develop on that first, please?
Sure. One of the attributes of having the single, or we could call it low rise units,
Yes,
is that
like a bungalow, one story or maybe
right,
two
or
story.
two, or maybe even three, and then you have the trees around, and that's the environment, that's a tropical environment. What has happened over the years is that there's an ecosystem that operates with that. in that it's now hurricane season. Let us advise Stokeley, our listeners, please don't chop down the tree. I'm so sorry to be sounding very Jamaican. The trees are there and they protect your real estate. You trim them, but don't chop them because they create wind barriers and they prevent the onslaught of the turbulence of the hurricane on your building. So they're there to cushion the effect. Now, what is happening with development is that one, the trees are being removed. Two, the landscape is being disturbed. So you don't have the water percolating into the ground. Many of these developments put hard surface in, Howard, you know that. And so the water is building up on these hard surface and flooding the next door neighbors and flooding the streets and creating a Duns River Fall effect around. The other and most critical thing is that we need to do the scientific analysis to see what's the wind turbulence around the high rise buildings. That is something that we need to be doing, and we need to be educating our population and our development controllers that if they place 3 or 4 high rise buildings beside each other, there's a wind tunnel effect and it can intensify the effects of what we are currently having with intensified hurricanes in climate change.
Dr. Green, I'm going to ask you this one here because I do have an interest as well in some of these matters. Is that part of the reason you think that when I'm walking, for instance, on Ocean Boulevard, where you have these high-rise buildings there, why sometimes when the wind is blowing, you feel like you have to be fighting the wind to continue walking? Is that what you're referring to?
I would allow Howard Johnson to answer that one. he seems to be he seems to appreciate what you're saying.
Okay. I want to ask you, Mr. Johnson Jr., to comment on the supply and demand point. But before you do that, sir, I want to read a comment that has come in on WhatsApp. This person has written, I don't see a name, but they have written the following. I am for development. However, the development should I think they're meant to say should be sustainable, but they left out a word. Should be sustainable and balanced with the natural environment. Example, creating harmony with building and trees rather than cutting down trees and clearing land for buildings without looking at the impact also. Building should be designed with regards to climate change and energy efficient. We're almost out of time already. Mr. Johnson Jr., the supply and demand point, and I'm going to ask both of you to comment on that comment on WhatsApp. Mr. Johnson Jr., quickly.
All right, well, read the supply and demand, and I do appreciate the comments made by Dr. Green. And from a realtor perspective and having exposure across the island, you certainly do see the efforts being made by some developers to meet the demands for single family. I mean, certainly the Caribbean Estate, the Portmore Country Clubs, the Phoenix Park, that is now up to phase 5 or 6, I believe. These developments that are doing still single family homes, they are very attractive and they're being sold out equally as fast as some of these high-rise apartments. So yes, the supply and demand, the statistics are there to support both points. The overwhelming demand for a particular area, such as the Kingston and St. Andrew area, and trying to find every square of land to build out these apartments, I'm not sure if the demand is really there, but I do see that even from the NLA document that these units are being sold. Whether they're being occupied or not, that's another thing. Coming across my desk, I see a lot of rental applications for some of these very new properties.
I'm interjecting, Mr. Johnson. I'm interjecting, Mr. Johnson, only because of time, and I'm not necessarily seeing your point as being completely at variance necessarily with Dr. Green. I think Dr. Green's point, I think Dr. is saying that there needs to be some kind of study done. Whereas you're looking at data, she's still saying that a study should be done. That's what I'm hearing from her. But before we wrap today, any final words, any comments from both of you? And if you can include any thoughts on the comment that we just read from WhatsApp. Mr. Johnson and then Dr. Green.
The comment is real, it's relevant, and from a property management perspective, yes, the the removal of some of these environmental aspects of our properties do cause an impact.
Have to leave it there. Have to leave it there, Mr. Johnson Jr. Only because of time. Dr. Green, any comments quickly in a second or two?
Yes, I just want to say that the demand by development in the Kingston, certain areas in Kingston, is actually pushing up, inflating the cost of the houses. So there are people who are living next door who would like to buy that house and develop it themselves, but because
Have
of
to
the
leave that one
development
there. But
cost, it's
you're
too
touching a very
high.
important point there, Dr. Green, that probably requires another show. That alone would require another show. But I want to thank both of you,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Green and Mr. Johnson Jr., for
Thank
being with
you.
us in this segment. Unfortunately, we are totally and completely out of time. Thank you for being with us. Visit our Love 101 YouTube channel and Facebook page for this and all of the Love 101 FM programs. And of course, we are the #1 gospel station in Jamaica and the #4 station in the island. Download our Love 101 app and stay connected to us. Of course, have a blessed weekend and join my colleague, Reverend Dr. Dallon Tucson, next week for other topical and controversial issues. Thanks to our producer, Kathy Gale, and to our guests. I am Stokeley Marshall, handing you back to Love in the Morning with Deidre.
The NHF is here for you, helping Jamaican residents pay less for medication with the